Welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. I'm your host, Irene Duford, and I'm really happy that you're here. If you're a loan officer, you know what 2023 has been like. But what we say to ourselves really matters. Sometimes we have to feel the fear and do it anyways. So sit back, take a listen to a conversation that I had on a podcast as a guest with my friends, Mike and Erica. And they brought up some things that were really, really good. And I wanted to share it with you. So enjoy. I hope you have some great takeaways. And I would love it if you would let me know what those takeaways are. I want you to remember one thing though. You can do this. Whatever it is that you set your mind to do, whether it's in your business or in your personal goals, you got this. Always remember that you can make it happen. And I'm right here with you to help you on that journey. So go make it happen. And remember, you got this. You can do it.
I'm fired up because we've got a legend of legends on this episode. And I know I say on every episode, this is a different one. We've got someone special, and you're also unique in your stories and your superpowers. But our guest today is a co-founder of the Freedom Club in 2010 with Carl White and Tammy Schneider. And today we have Miss Irene Duford. I'm honored to have you here. I can't believe it took us this long. Welcome.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here with you guys. I love your podcast. I love the value you bring everybody. And I love being on the team with you.
Likewise, from day one, our little email exchanges, all just pleasant, a breath of fresh air.
Yes, that's how I feel.
So Miss Irene, it's hard to say all that you do when you do so much, right? You're a coach to many, many loan officers and brokers and owners in the industry. You're a coach to their team and their staff. Tell us what a day in the life or a week in the life of Irene looks like.
So I coach all day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I coach loan officers in how to increase their business. So we talk about the daily success plan, which is making outbound phone calls, writing handwritten personal notes, and meeting face-to-face, either in person or on a Zoom meeting with agents and other people. And we have that full plan. And so we concentrate on that because that's where they get their results. But I also delve deep with each person I coach to see what is holding them back. Do they have something that's stopping them from making the phone calls or stopping them from writing notes, or, what is it? And I get to know them. So I try to go real deep with the people that I coach to get to know them so that I can find that one little thing that we can tweak and that we can say, okay, if we tweak this one thing, we're going to get the results. And that's exactly what we end up doing. And sometimes that has to do with the programming that they have grown up with, the old tapes that play in their head. As we were growing up, I teach them how to change those things. Like sometimes people were told that they're never going to make it, that they're never going to amount to anything, that they didn't get the support they needed, things like that. Money doesn't grow on trees, all these different things that, you're limited to what you can do. And all of these limits that happen when we're growing up. And I help them to reprogram that with their self-talk intentionally so that they can get beyond the obstacle that's holding them back. And sometimes those obstacles are business, and sometimes those obstacles are holding them back in their relationships, in their family, and they're just not happy. And it's crossing over into their business. And I'm not a therapist, so that's not what I mean. But I do try to find out what obstacle is holding them back. I think if I'm known for anything, that's what I'd be known for. But I'm also known for helping them with their teams, building an amazing team. And that's what a lot of people need and don't know how to do it. From hiring to building them, to bringing them on board, to training them, all of the things that need to be done. That way I can help them with that, as well as the daily success plan. And it's very catered to who I'm coaching. So some people need one thing, some people need another thing, and they get what they need as I am able to get to know them and find out what makes them tick and what holds them back.
You are known here as the queen of many things, but the queen of self-talk right? And self-limited beliefs and team building. Truly, all of those things are needed to run a successful business, a machine. We have the daily success plan here in front of us, sure. But if you are standing in your own way every single day, or maybe one day out of the 5, it still has a drastic impact. So you dive deep with all of your clients, and that really sets you apart to understand, where they're at in life and what truly are these roadblocks that prevent them from taking these actions. And do you do that right off the bat? Do you say, let's shed the layers, let's get into it? Are some people forthcoming?
Yeah, everyone's different. So I don't just jump right into it because I want to make people feel comfortable when they first come in. I want to get to know them and let them get to know me a little bit. But after a little while, if I notice during our coaching calls that there are some things that are holding them back, we'll talk about that and say, here, let's find out what is holding you back. Or maybe it's time blocking. Maybe they don't know how to time block. Maybe they don't know they haven't been used to using their calendar to make sure that they're time blocking. I have like these little things that I like to utilize during our coaching calls, little tips that I can give them that really help, that have helped me in my business throughout the years. Because I used to be an originator as well for over 20 years. And I ran teams and was a branch manager and all of that. But I'll just share one little tip with you today that I share with people that I coach. And that's, if you want to make sure that you hit your time block, if you want to make sure that you're going to do your DSP calls at 9:00 like you're supposed to, set your alarm on your phone 5 minutes before you're supposed to get on. And I do it twice, 15 minutes before and 5 minutes before. The 15 minutes is to they're not in habit yet of time blocking. So they're busy doing something. And that when that alarm goes off, and I'm not talking about a notification, I'm talking about an alarm. Like
an annoying ring that doesn't stop.
Yeah, it could be annoying. It could be a song. It could be like something that motivates them that plays at that time that they could program into their phone. But 15 minutes before, so that it kind of jolts them out of what they're doing. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. In 15 minutes, I got to make my calls, or I got to write my notes, or I have a meeting with someone that I got to make sure I'm on time for. And then 5 minutes before, just to say, okay, Irene, I got to wrap it up now. That's it. I got to get it done. And then I jump on the phone. So that's a little tip that I like to share with people. And it really has made a difference for people because you're not in the habit yet. It's a new habit. And anytime we have a new habit, we've got to do something. It's like a process for me. I'm all about systems and processes. So if you're not naturally good at something, you can set up a system so that you can be good at it, even though it doesn't come naturally. So that's one of the little tips for today.
I love that. Time tip. That's got to be one of the most important pieces of the whole puzzle here. And when we talk about that, the subject of time blocking, I like to also look at it from the perspective of respecting our time as much as anybody else's. And I find it really interesting that I'll chat with a lot of loan officers that don't miss their call with me or with their realtors or their borrowers. But when it comes to making their phone calls, the files, the family, the friends, the feelings, I'm tired, the distractions, the TV, everything gets in the way of the time we've dedicated towards ourselves. And nobody wants a 9-to-5 and everybody wants to be their own boss. And then they don't hold themselves accountable as if they had a boss. That's a great tip to set some alarms to remind yourself, because this is serious. And if we're not serious, then this ain't going to work out, guys. Are you committed? Or are you just interested? Being interested is listening to this show. Being interested is showing up on the club. Being interested is reading the book again and again. There's higher levels of interest and commitment. But being commitment means you do the thing. You're just like pulling credit and submitting an application. Do you make your calls? Like that's part of the job.
Are you holding off on training your loan partners, your loan assistants, your team members, and support staff on how to wow your clients? Are they getting that kind of training from you? You probably plan on training them if you get a few extra hours, but when does that happen realistically? And meanwhile, your team is doing the best they can with the information that they have. But this kind of training really doesn't exist anywhere else. When you do the training, that means you're not as responsive as you want to be with your clients, and you're not hitting your closing and income goals as a loan officer. So how much is it costing you to not have a team that's properly trained how to wow clients and referral partners so that they only want to work with you because of the great experience that they're getting? We teach them how to use efficient step-by-step processes and systems that work, how to follow up so nothing falls through the cracks and loans close on time and even early, how to build wonderful relationships with clients, how to wow people so they go, man, that was an amazing experience. The members of his or her team are amazing. They're so on it. How to use scripts and dialogues for winning clients, setting expectations and communicating with clients so that you can prevent problems down the road. How to handle difficult clients, how to make clients feel appreciated and valued, and how to handle and overcome objections. It might be time to ask for some help. That's why we're here. Loan Team Training has our next live WOW training coming up. We train your team for you so you can focus on closing loans. Check it out at loanteamtraining.com for our next class. And see how many 5-star reviews we have from past WOW training participants and their loan officers who sent them at loanteamtrainingreviews.com. Remember, it's an interactive virtual training with live trainers, and we train any of your support staff that is communicating with clients and referral partners. Check us out and sign your loan partner or team member up at loanteamtraining.com.
I think one of the coolest parts about having you here on the show, Irene, is that you coach dozens of top producers, where every time that we have a podcast, we're hearing one person's perspective. You have this interesting opinion and perspective and experience of literally dozens of America's top performers. And I want to know two things based off what you're seeing on the streets right now. I want to know what you think is holding most people back, as different as it may be case by case, like you suggested, but also like what in a more general sense, then what is holding most people back in today's market? And what do we see working best for your clients right now? Let's start with like the obstacles. What are the biggest obstacles in today's environment?
It's fear. It all comes down to fear. It manifests in different ways, but it's fear. It's fear of rejection. That's why they don't make the calls to try to set up appointments. It's fear that people are going to think they're too salesy when they call. It's fear of asking for business every time they talk to someone on their Tuesday Just Ask calls, because, man, I just asked them last week. I'm going to ask them again. I'm just calling to give them status. Things like that. The ones that have no fear or don't let the fear stop them, they're getting amazing results. But the ones that let the fear stop them are not getting the amazing results, because the fear gets in the way. And so we work on the fear. What is the fear? And let's work around that. And it's amazing what happens when they realize that fear is what's holding them back. And I don't use the word fear most of the time, but that's really what it is. It's fear. That's the number one thing that's holding people back. Habits, bad habits is the other thing that's right next to it. And the only way to get rid of bad habits is to create good ones and set an alarm to make sure you remind yourself. So, but what's working for people is the ones that are doing really, really well. They're doing the daily success plan, the DSP. There is no other magic bullet. That's it. That's number one. They're making their calls. They're writing their notes. They're meeting face-to-face with business. And that's just working. There's no other magic bullet except to hire the right people. That's the other thing, is if you have a team, or if you're planning to have a team, make sure you hire the right people. We have a whole process in the Freedom Club website and the MMA website about how to hire. We did a class on hiring a loan partner checklist is the name of it. And it gets step by step of how to hire. And if you have the right people on your team, you're going to succeed, because you don't have to be the one that does everything. You can have someone on the team do what you don't enjoy doing. And so those are the keys.
I love that. Erica and I had an episode with loan partner, amazing results doing the plan for her loan originator, doing the full DSP from A to Z, Thor's hammer to the pre-approved and looking calls. And I know we have a couple more questions for you, Irene, before we go, but I think this is just a great time. Your WOW program is just so phenomenal. I think it's just, when we talk about teamwork and practices and delegation, would you mind sharing a little bit about what y'all do with the WOW weekend?
Yes. So I have a company called Loan Team Training, and we have WOW training. It's live. It's on video and audio. It's for any team member of a loan officer or a company that is the support staff. And we teach them how to communicate. We talk about self-talk, how important that is. We teach them about processes, systems, how to ask for documentation. We don't teach them about loans, like how to do an FHA or a VA or conventional loan, but we teach them about how to best support the loan officer and the team. And we teach them how to do the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday calls. We role play those calls during the class. And we just teach them everything there is to know about communication, about wowing customers and clients and real estate agents, so that they only want to work with their team. And that's it. And it goes very deep. I have never seen another class like this, or I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've never seen one. And I was just feeling like there was a lack of training for the support staff. We have a lot of training for sales, but I opened the company, and that's the reason, is because I felt like people get into this business and the loan officers are so busy that they kind of throw them into the job and they don't really give them any instructions. It's sink or swim, but having training has really made a difference for them. So that's the WOW training. We also have a client conversion training, which is for the loan partners that are going to convert the borrowers. They're going to do the loan consultations and they're going to get the borrower to say yes, instead of the loan officer doing it, so that they can be out getting more business.
Extremely helpful.
Yeah. And the last class is for newbies, people that need to learn the loan business. We have an online class for them. It's a self-paced class. It's not live, but it's a self-paced, and we've recorded videos and a lot of good information. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about it. So if those are for people that have either never been trained or need to be trained, or they're new in the business. So you can find us on loanteamtraining.com.
And this is so robust. I mean, you're talking from lead gen to contract, from contract to close, for newbies all across. Support on your team is needed. You are only one person. We get to this point, right, where we are on this roller coaster, we become the bottleneck. We need to build. And Irene, you speak with so many loan officer assistants, loan partners, transaction coordinators, probably more than anyone that I know. And I'm meeting a lot of LOs, and I'm sure Mike is, and you are as well, that they have a loan partner that's new or that hasn't done this before. And the LO is not only still having to work the loans in the file, but to train this loan partner. Yes. And maybe they also have other LOs, depending on what their setup is. What would you recommend for that loan partner or that LO? Where do they start when they're in a situation where someone's so new, but they have all these loans coming in? What direction does that LO or loan partner take?
I would start them with the class, the loan assistant mortgage training bootcamp class, so that they can learn about what mortgages are. And they can be taking that course while they're working every day, while they're answering the phone, while they're doing their phone calls, whatever they're doing, they can take that course because it's a self-paced course. And then I would put them in the WOW training first, because the WOW training is what's going to teach them everything that we teach in the Freedom Club. That's what's taught. And it's going to put them on the same page from somebody other than their loan officer. Because you know as well as I do, your loan officer can say it till they're blue in the face. They can try to bring back the enthusiasm from the boot camps and the enthusiasm from Freedom Club events, but they can't describe it the same way. But hearing it from somebody else that can tell them the same thing, that is a coach, that we do have trainers that do it, it just makes a difference. It helps them see it from a different perspective. And we're teaching them that they're not salespeople, they're support people, and they're helping people when they ask for referrals.
The key, right?
That is one thing. The support team, I've noticed, they're afraid of the word sales, right? They're not salespeople. Yes. They don't want to do sales activities. But when you work on that mindset, this isn't sales. You're helping people. You're providing a service. It excites them almost, where they realize they have this ability to now make a difference and make money doing so, that they're able to help bring more business in too.
Yes. It gives them security, and they don't have to be on commission to do that. That they don't want to be on commission, and for good reason, but they can still help the team and help clients, because when they go to their team, they're going to get amazing service. But when they go somewhere else, they're not. So they're actually helping people when they ask for referrals, because it's a win-win for everybody.
That's such a great message. And then to that point, especially with our support team, our operations, administrative help. That could certainly be a huge struggle, like Erica said. But even for salespeople, it's tough to do sales activities. And it reminds me of, well, we can end here. I have one more question before we go, Irene, but just a good story is, I know I've mentioned this a few times. Growing up, my dad was a top 1% realtor in Naples, Florida. A dude made millions selling real estate when I was young. And remember this one time, I think he was on the phone with one of his other agents in the office. He looked at me and goes, they had some type of conversation. The other guy was struggling. He goes, Mike, poor salesmen feel like they're bothering people and begging for business. Great salesmen know they're blessing people. And that's why Dad's made a lot of money, because he's blessed a lot of people. He's changed a lot of lives. This is what our family does, is we help people. And to that point of what you both are saying, it is a compliment to ask for business, because you want to provide your service and help and change their life. You have your expertise, your time, your energy, your focus, better yet, your team's time as well as going into it. My gosh, it is a compliment. It is a value. It is a service to offer your services. You're blessing people and changing lives, right? Just like you have with countless, thousands of LOs, Irene. So I have one more question for you before we go. I love everything you've had to say. A decade more of doing this, coaching top producers to even more success. If you had to leave us with one thing today, what would be your number one tip for somebody to crush it in 2023?
I would say to be committed and just do it. Be committed. There's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to have a commitment to do that idea. And so I would say commitment is what's going to make the difference. If I had a word of the year, if I was a loan officer today, my word of the year would be commitment. Commitment to the daily success plan activities.
Love it. Love it.
That's it. The ones that are committed succeed.
Irene, you really transform these humans, these loan officers, from their level of confidence to the money that they make, to the lifestyles that they live, and the love that they have for themselves. It sounds silly, but you do a wonderful job at that. And you've done that for me, and I'm sure Mike and many others.
Absolutely.
So thanks for shedding light. And we would love to have you here back again sometime soon. And
all right, we'll see you then. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Irene.
Bye, Irene. Thank you.
Have a great one. Go get them.